again, my lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. I apologize for the week-long break. As I said in the video of Incomitaria meets the League of Villains, I have been trying to figure out a new recording schedule due to having more hours of work recently. But with that, why don't you grab yourself a snack, sit back and relax. You deserve a break as we head into the next chapter of Avatar: The Legends of Percy, Trial by Fire, written by WardofWinters. Chapter 30. Annabeth does obedience school. Annabeth helped me put the veil over my hair again. She had me first try. I didn't do very well and then fixed it where I messed up. She also put on her veil. "The sun is getting to set soon," she said in explanation. "The solstice is tomorrow, and with the sun setting I need to veil." She laid the veil, a pretty grey with red embroidery, on top of her head and pinned it down. Then she crossed the lengths on the side at the base of her scalp, hiding all of her hair, which she'd pulled into a bun. She pinned that in place, leaving the ends strands to drape over her shoulder like a tail. Once that was done, we headed back to the road. We used the Lotus cart again to get on the bus and ended up riding it almost aimlessly. Grover got a few odd looks for his walking. Having the gait of a goat didn't make it easy to hide, especially without his braces. But we managed. None of us were quite sure what we were looking for. We hadn't any idea where the entrance to the underworld was. It ended up being 30 minutes of following the bus route before I noticed the sensation of burning shadows. I shut up as the bus slowed to a stop. "Thank you!" I called as I hurried off the bus. Annabeth and Grover squawked and scrambled after me. "What the Hades? What's going on, Percy?" Annabeth asked, hurrying to match my steps. "I sensed the burning shadows, like when my mom was taken," I said distractedly. "I think we're near the entrance to the underworld." Annabeth stopped. "Burning shadows? What?" I paused, suddenly realizing I'd never actually told them about the sensations I felt. "Oh, I can sorta sense things, like with magic or terrors and like godly powers." Annabeth's eye twitched. "Have you been able to do this the whole time?" she hissed. I hesitantly nodded. "Why didn't you say anything? Could you sense the Erinyes, Medusa, the Chimera, Ares, the trap of Hephaestus?" I shuffled. "Well, yes, but I didn't really understand most of it. It's kinda new, and I'm not good at recognizing what sensations are bad and which are good or what they mean. I think the buzzing I feel is the mist and the itchy feel is a curse. But Talia's tree has an itch to it, and a lot of places have some sort of feel to them, but they don't cause us any trouble." Annabeth frowned. "What do you mean?" "Well, the camp itself is like a lot of different things. It was really overwhelming and kind of uncomfortable, but none of it was dangerous to us. I wasn't sure if the stuff outside of the camp was just a powerful feeling that maybe was cursed too, or if it was actually a threat. I'm still not really able to tell. I just recognized the burning shadows." Grover shook his head. "So you can sense godly power? Wow." "That would have been nice to know. We could help you figure out what the different feelings mean," Annabeth huffed. I flushed. "Well, it's not like I like you can feel them, and it's a sea magic thing. I don't think you guys could help much. Annabeth scowled, opening her mouth. Okay, guys, Grover interrupted. We're all tired and tense. Let's take a break. Let's all take a deep breath. Percy, you need to let us know things like that in the future. Even if we can't help you with it, we can at least be aware and can discuss if you need to. Or you guys can give us a warning of the things you sense. Annabeth, he told us now, and he wasn't aware wasn't keeping secrets maliciously. He just didn't think to bring it up. Getting mad doesn't do us any favors. Annabeth and I looked away. Sorry, I muttered after a moment. I should have mentioned it. She sighed. I'm sorry too. I shouldn't have snapped like that. Great, Grover said. Now then, let's follow Percy's magic sensor and find the underworld. My lips twitched at magic sensor. Right, let's go. It was only about 10 minutes before we stood in the shadows of Valencia Boulevard, looking up at the gold letters etched in black marble. DOA Recording Studios. Underneath, stenciled on the glass doors, no solicitors, no loitering, no living. I bit back a giggle. It really wasn't that funny, but my tonton seemed to have a dark sense of humor. It was almost midnight, but the lobby was brightly lit and full of people. Behind the security desk sat a guard wearing sunglasses. The thing that held my attention the most wasn't anything visible, though. It was the feeling of burning shadows, the smell of freshly turned dirt, and the strong buzz that laid over the building. I turned to my friends, trying to ignore the sensations here. They weren't as bad as some. The lightning and the stiffness from Zeus and Medusa were my least favorite, but they were still uncomfortable. Okay, remember the plan? The plan, Grover gulped. Yeah, I love the plan. Annabeth shuffled. We went through a dozen of them. This one should work. It worked for Orpheus. Yep, Grover squeaked. It worked for one of the greatest musicians of all time. Surely it can't fail us. Annabeth kicked him. This is going to work, she said firmly. It's our plan. We've gone through it and have 2 backups. Yeah, and I think I like the backups even less. Don't think negative, I told Grover. Right, we're just going into the land of the dead. I'm absolutely positive about our imminent deaths. Annabeth kicked him again. We've gotten this far, Annabeth said fiercely. Grover nodded, leaning on his unkicked leg. Yeah, we can do this. We will find the Master Bolt and save your mom. No problem at all. I touched my pocket with the pearls and adjusted my backpack. Grover and Annabeth readied themselves as well. Annabeth with her lovely moon bag and Grover with the one from Ares. The extra bag was buried in mine. We've got this, I said. Let's go finish this quest. We walked inside the DOA lobby. Fun thing I learned immediately, whatever portal that door seemed to be, it muted the sensations from the room. I bit my lip at the burning shadows curling over my skin. The smell made me feel like I was standing in a dirt field rather than a raiding room. There was a new sensation, like misty longing. It was disconcerting. The buzzing was mostly gone, though. Background music played softly on hidden speakers. Piano, I think. The carpet was black and the walls a grey steel. Pencil cacti grew in the corner, bony and spiky. The furniture was black leather and every seat was taken. There were people sitting on couches and chairs, and people standing up, a few crouching in the corners too. Some stared out the window, some watched the elevator. One tried to go to the door, but became misty and then turned back to their seat. Nobody moved, or talked, or did much of anything. Out of the corner of my eye, they seemed perfectly normal, if slightly pale, but looking at them straight on made it clear that they weren't. They would turn transparent. I could see right through them. Does the difference in our appearance make it obvious that we weren't dead? Hopefully not. The security guard's desk was a raised podium, so we had to look up at him. He was definitely not just a ghost. The shadowy feeling was very strong around him. It reminded me of those figures from that dream a few nights ago. The dripping shadows and swirling galaxies. Shadowy, indistinct, but sharp. I got the feeling he was dangerous. He was tall and elegant, with deep brown skin reminding me of the twilight with how dark it was. His hair was even darker, like onyx, in neat braids that ended at the nape of his neck. He wore sleek, dark grey wraparound sunglasses and a silk Italian suit that was a crisp charcoal grey. A black rose was pinned to his lapel under his silver name tag. I read the name tag and my brow furrowed. I vaguely remembered that the ferryman of the underworld had a name like Charon's, but I didn't really focus on underworld myths, a mistake I clearly needed to fix. Was his name actually Charon? I looked at him with a frown. Your name is Charon? I winced at how the shadows seemed to twist as he leaned across the desk. I couldn't see his eyes, his glasses hid them, but the shadows and his smile got the feeling across. His smile was sweet and cold, like Loki's snake companion. What a precious young lad. His accent was familiar, kinda like Triton's but more smooth. Triton's reminded me of Charon with more eyes sounds and kinda rolly. His was smooth and I wasn't sure, maybe a Greek accent? That would make sense. Tell me, that, do I look like a centaur? No, T.I. His head tilted slightly before he pinched his name tag and ran his fingers under the letter. Can you read this, Det? It says Kharon. Say it with me. Charon. Charon? Amazing. Now, Mr. Charon, or what is it you used? Halmaharan? Charon Tane. Charon Tane? I said sheepishly. Well done, he said back. I hate being confused with that old horseman. Thinks he's so great because he helps with training the living. Ridiculous. And now, how may I help you, D. Mervy? I faltered. I didn't expect him to be so helpful. I looked to Annabeth. We want to go to the underworld, she said. Charon's mouth twitched. Well, that's refreshing. It is? She asked. Straightforward and honest. There's no screaming, no. There must be a mistake, Mr. Charon. He looked us over. How did you die, then? Oh, Grover chimed in. We drowned in the bathtub. I resisted the urge to drop my head. All three of you? Charon asked, his lips twitching faintly. Grover, I said. You have to stop calling the pool a bathtub. Grover nodded. Right, sorry. Annabeth coughed. Well, that would make more sense. How unfortunate. He seemed to find us amusing. I really hoped he wasn't just humoring us, or if he was, that he continued humoring us until we were in the underworld. I don't suppose you have coins for passage. Normally, with adults, you see, I could charge your last credit card or add the ferry price to your last, what's it called? He frowned, tapping his chin and muttering, Voi postni setsa tevis. He spoke a language I didn't know but reminded me of the language Abel spoke in the dream Kronos showed me. It wasn't the same, but the way he spoke it. Whispery but sharp. His expression cleared. Ah, yes, television. I could add it to your last television bill. Unfortunately, with children. Uvi, you never die prepared. I suppose you'll have to take a seat for a few centuries. Oh, but we do have coins. I slid the 3 golden drachmas on the counter, part of the stash Ares gave us. Well now, Charon licked his lips. Natoi drachmi. Real golden drachmas. I haven't seen these in. His fingers hovered over the coins, a look of longing on his face. The shadows seemed to coil around them, soft and eager. We're so close. Then Charon looked at me. The shadows shifted, darkening on my skin. Here now, he murmured, you couldn't read my name tag correctly. Are you dyslexic, Det? What's dyslexia? I questioned innocently. Maybe playing dumb will work. Charon leaned forward and sniffed the air. Ah, you're not dead, I should have known. You're a godling. We really need to get to the underworld, I insisted. Charon made a growling sound deep in his throat. The hair on my arms raised, and I could feel the way the whole room pressed on us, shadows wrapping tight and cooling the air. The people in the waiting room were suddenly agitated, some turning towards us with misty forms hardening, icy feels rising, others scrambling around the room looking for a way out. Some looked towards the elevator, some towards their watches, and a few started pacing. Leave while you can, Charon warned us. I'll just take these and forget I saw you. He started to reach for the coins, but I snatched them up. 3 options. 3 backups. Persuasion, bribery, force. He let out another low growl. The shadows seemed almost freezing now. It was very different from Hades Tonno's burning shadows. Persuasion first. Please, I implored. I need to speak to Hades Ton. See, the main problem with our plan was that we didn't know the laws of the underworld. I only knew the laws of the sea. Annabeth and Grover knew the laws of the land. The underworld was something else entirely. Surely there are times when exceptions are made, I questioned, pulling on all my training from Triton. He took my mother to him alive. Do I not have the right to present my case to him to return her? Charon considered. Well, he did bring a mortal woman down. A family member does have the right to speak to him so long as her soul has not been reaped. His gaze flicked over the rest of us. I felt a surge of hope. Maybe we could do this. 3 people, especially 2 unrelated ones, would not be allowed, though. Persuasion plus bribery, maybe? I picked up the bag of drachmas that Ares gave us. We won't make it worth your time to ferry the extra two, I offered. I scooped up a handful and let them slick back through my fingers to cascade back into the bag. Charon made a new sound, almost like a deep purr. An idea? He mused, his gaze flicked to the bag. Exceptions are made on occasion, but they aren't done often. The implications were clear. We had to make it well worth his while to bring Annabeth and Grover across. I started stacking coins on the desk. I bet it's a lot of work watching over all these spirits and ferrying them across. The population grows all the time. Oh, you don't know the half of it. Osiris is locked up someplace, so all of his souls are run through us right now. You know, giving the whole "congrats you're dead" speech and ferrying them off to the Egyptian Hall of Judgment to wait for Osiris. He huffed, pulling off his sunglasses to rub his eyes. The iris was pitch black. Did you know the Norse have 3 places their souls go to when they die? Minimum. Sometimes there are exceptions to that. On occasions, souls slip through the cracks and end up here. And oh, the paperwork of getting them to the right place. And sometimes the ones that are Norse are also Greek, which means we have to handle where the soul goes. I winced at that. That seemed complicated. And don't even get me started on the children who are reincarnated Hindu gods. Their system is great. Yama is very majestic and just and all, but when there's a crossover of heritage and reincarnation, we have a lot of arrangements to do, and the many gods of the Turtle Islands, well, actually, quite a few of them are nice and great conversationalists, and they're pretty good at handling their dead, though a few are a bit, let's say, less pleasant. But the point is, the overlap in heritage is happening a lot more, and it's a huge pain. He took a deep breath. The paperwork it all causes, and that's not even including overlap in heritage via relationships. Sometimes they'll marry and want to be together in the afterlife, and by nix, it's ridiculous. I barely have time to watch my shows, and I'm a god and able to be in multiple places at once. I nodded sympathetically. Wow, that did sound miserable. At least the ocean gods just had to coordinate in anti-pollution efforts, and when territory disputes happened, handle those. He sounded like he needed a good rant. Poor guy. You definitely deserve plenty of appreciation, I agreed. More respect, and certainly good pay. I ended up emptying the bag from Ares, a pile of 27 golden drachmas gleaming on the table. I must say that you make a good argument. I put 2 coins from my own stash on this pile. I could speak to Hades Ton about it when I meet with him. He sighed. Well, the boat is almost full anyway. I might as well add you 3 and be off. He stood, scooping up all our money as he did. It seemed to vanish into his hands. Come along, he said. We pushed through the crowd of waiting spirits. They tried grabbing at our clothes, but they were just like the wind, insubstantial and misty. The voices spoke things I couldn't understand, a whispery sounding language, like the one the ghosts and Abel spoke. Charon just huffed, shoving them aside, grumbling under his breath in that language he'd been speaking that I didn't know. He escorted us into the elevator, which was already crowded with souls of the dead, each one holding a green boarding pass. Charon grabbed 2 spirits who were trying to get on with us and pushed them back into the lobby. Right, Now, no one get any ideas while I'm gone, he announced to the waiting room, and if anyone moves the dial to Wii music again, I'll make sure you're here for another 1,000 years. Understand? Wii music? I muttered. He shut the doors and put his key card into a slot in the elevator panel. The elevator started to descend, and I shivered as the shadows wrapped tighter. What happened to the spirits waiting in the lobby? Annabeth asked. Nothing, Charon said. For how long? Forever, or until I'm feeling generous. Oh, she said. That's fair. Charon raised an eyebrow. Whoever said death was fair, Molaya? Too many souls pass on, too few are able to pay. Those that pay get to pass on as soon as the line shortens enough for them. Those that don't have to wait till a time when we can fit them in. Those in the waiting room can't pay, so they wait. Annabeth frowned. Oh, that's sad. Is there a way to pay for them? Charon's lips twitched. You'd best be saving your money for yourself. You'll be dying soon enough where you're going. We'll get out alive, I said. Hades' ton is fair. Charon laughed. He's certainly one of the fair death gods, but that doesn't make him kind. You've angered him. Calling him uncle won't earn you his mercy. I pursed my lips. A dizzy feeling hit me as the shadows surged, making me blink my eyes rapidly. Everything felt of the shadows but beneath us. I looked over the side to where the lashing current's feel came from. The elevator had turned to a boat. The air was misty and the spirits around us changed shape as their modern clothes shifted into grey hooded robes. Beneath us the water was black and dirty. It made my heart ache to see the pollution the underworld river held. I did a double take as I looked up to see Charon's new look. His Italian suit has been replaced with a long black hematon. That ancient Greek cloak wrapped around him. His glasses were gone as well, allowing me to see his eyes once more. Only his eyes were empty sockets now, completely dark, like night but without any stars. He saw me looking. Well? Nothing, I said, dipping my head. I could see the way his skin seemed to go transparent, the shadows settling around me as if he had come home. I suppose he had. The boat swayed. Grover groaned. I think I'm getting seasick. Charon pulled us across the dark, oily river, swirling with all the pollution. Bones, dead fish, plastic dolls, crushed carnations, soggy diplomas, old books, shining trophies. The river had all kinds of things. The river stinks, Annabeth murmured. It's so polluted, Charon said. For thousands of years, you humans have been throwing in everything as you come across. Hopes, dreams, wishes that never came true. Irresponsible waste management, if you ask me. Ahead of us, I could see the far shore glimmering with deep light, almost shining, but with nothing to give it that light. I swallowed hard. I felt as if I shouldn't be here. I was of the sea, not the underworld. Being here was wrong. And yet, I had to. Annabeth grabbed my hand. I held tight. This was scary. We both drew reassurance from having someone living next to us. I murmured a prayer to Thanatos to pretty please not take our soul. A whispered plea for mercy from Hades' tongue. Should I have been calling him until Hades more out loud? I defaulted to Halmaharan for that. I mean, it meant the same thing. I'd stick with Halmaharan. The shoreline of the underworld came into view. Craggy rocks and black volcanic sand stretched inland from 100 yards to see the base of a high stone wall that marched off in either direction as far as the eye could see. I realized what he meant earlier when he said people brought as lines shortened. The line was almost to the beach. Hundreds of ghostly figures in twisting lines following markings in the sand and rock. A sound came from there, my eyes squinting as I felt the air get even colder with the smell of dog. That must have been Cerberus, the guard dog of Hades. I took a deep breath, my fingers closing around my ocarina. I can do this. We've got this. The daemon of the dark is hungry. Charon said, his smile seemed skeletal in a twisty light. Bad luck for you, godlings. Do we get a pass for being here to meet Hades' ton? With 3 of you? No. You'd only get 1, so it wouldn't help you anyways. Lovely, I mumbled as the boat scraped onto the black sand shore. The dead began to disembark. I could see an old man stumbling off, a woman holding a little girl's hand, an old couple hobbling along hand in hand, a young boy shuffling silently, and many more. Charon turned to us. I'd wish you luck, cadet, but there isn't any down here. Do be polite. He took up his pole, showing off his boat as he began singing in a whispery language, the one that the dead spoke, a warbling, whispery song that echoed as he ferried the empty barge back across the river. We turned to the path the dead took. Somehow the line was almost reaching us, and that was just sad. The 3 of us shared a look and started forward. I wasn't sure what I expected. Maybe something like Okeanos' palace carved from stone and dark with crushing pressure. Or maybe something like the pit, a vast empty area with a deep entrance. Or maybe pearly gates like the classic depictions Christians have. Maybe big black portcullis towering over us. But the entrance was none of that. There were 3 separate entrances under one huge black archway. Like it was really big. You could fit my whole school under that arch. There was writing on it, in thousands of languages, large enough that I could clearly read the Halmaharan writing saying, "You are now entering Erebus." I furrowed my brow. Wasn't Erebus the name of the primordial deity of shadows and darkness? I couldn't remember if it was a title in the underworld too. I really should have done more reading on the underworld. But as we moved closer, I could see that it looked a bit like the airport security I'd seen in movies. Security checked them, they passed through gates that reminded me of metal detectors, except they were made of carved black stone and very imposing. Shining black stones gleamed on the tops of the metal detector gates that reminded me of security cameras, with how they turned to follow the spirits. Beyond the gates, I could see what almost seemed to be tall booths, manned by ghouls in black chitons. I could hear the Cerberus howling loudly now, and I could feel his presence, but I couldn't see him. The dead queued up in 3 lines, 2 marked attendant on duty, and 1 marked easy death. The EZ death line was moving right along, but the other two were crawling. I suppose that line goes to the asphodel fields, I muttered. For sure, Annabeth agreed. They don't want to risk judgment, since it might go against them. Wow, Grover said. He was looking at something to the side. Look at that! A couple of black-clothed ghouls had pulled aside one spirit and were frisking him at one of the desks. The face of the dead man was vaguely familiar. He's that preacher who made the news, remember? Grover asked. Oh, yeah. We'd seen the guy on TV, a couple of guys at Yancey Academy dorm. He was an annoying televangelist from upstate New York who'd raised millions of dollars for orphanages and then got caught spending the money on stuff for his mansion, like gold-plated toilet seats and an indoor putt-putt golf course. He'd died in a police chase when his Lamborghini of the Lord went off a cliff. Are they giving him special treatment? I asked. I guess, Grover said. He was pretty bad. Do the bad ones get his personal attention? That would make sense, Annabeth murmured. We moved closer to the gates, weaving around the spirit's complex lines. The howling of Cerberus was so loud now that it shook the ground at my feet, but I still couldn't figure out where exactly he was. The air was frigid, and there was a faint feel of acid tingling over my skin. Then, about 50 feet in front of us, the air twisted. Shadows came together and took form. Standing just where the path split into 3 lanes was an enormous shadowy dog. Sorta. It was black like tar, with twisting deep red snakes twisting around the 3 large dog heads. The dog itself is clearly a Rottweiler, only twice the size of a woolly mammoth. Rottweiler puppies were adorable, and I really, really wanted one as a child. No, I wanted one, like Cerberus, with 3 heads, except not wanting me dead. The dead walked right up to him and past him. They had no fear of him at all. The attendant on duty lines parted on either side of him, while the easy deaf spirits walked right between his front paws and under his belly. Is he supposed to become more visible the closer we get to him? I questioned. I think, Annabeth moistened her lips. I'm afraid it's because we're closer to death. Lovely. The dog's middle head craned towards us, sniffing the air. He growled, and I noticed his tail was also a serpent. This just got better and better. It can smell the living, I mumbled as I rubbed the acidic feel on my arms. The chill was almost unbearable. That's okay, Grower said, trembling. We have a plan. Right, Annabeth whispered. A plan? Percy, start the plan! I lifted my ocarina, my hands shaking slightly. I paused to take a deep breath, then brought it to my lips. I started to play. At first it was a bit shaky. I felt a bit self-conscious playing in front of so many people. My fingers felt clumsy moving through the motions of one of the few songs I had memorized. As I continued, though, I steadied. I put all my concentration into it and focused intently on placing my fingers. Everyone else fell away as I played the song Fetu taught me, a lullaby from his home. He called it Kalalano Henulai, or the Tempest's Lullaby. The song echoed out, soft notes threading through the air as I drew on all my practice to play the song properly. The lilting opening notes flowed into softer, longer notes that twisted to make a soothing melody. It's working! Grover whispered. I opened my eyes. I hadn't realized I'd closed them. Cerberus was swaying slightly, his head drooping. I kept playing, my fingers dancing over the ocarina. I remembered the feeling when facing Medusa, the way the song had risen up and twined through my voice. I tried to pull it up on purpose this time. The last few notes of the song flowed out and I shifted back to the chorus so that I could start over. Cerberus' head yawned as he sat down. The spirits beneath him dissipated, starting to reform further away. I played through the chorus and started back at the beginning. Cerberus yawned again, laying down. The heads settled on his front paws. He watched us tiredly as the snake wound around one another, settling into comfy positions. I kept playing, the melody twisting through the air as I pushed all my want for him to sleep into my song. He yawned again, once more, as his eyes drifted shut. I closed my eyes again, pushing all my power into the familiar tune. Percy! Annabeth pushed my shoulder. That's good! Grover's eyes were closed and he almost toppled over. Annabeth yanked Grover, putting a hand on my shoulder to guide me as we carefully went around Cerberus. That's a nice song, Grover mumbled. Percy. Really nice song. I hummed as I paused for a breath, taking a few deep gulps of air as it was getting hard to breathe again. We slid through the easy death gate and I nearly jumped out of my skin as it started wailing. The black turned a stark white as it wailed. Unauthorized possessions! Magic detected! Cerberus shut up and started barking. Me and Grover shared a look as we bolted through the games. More alarms blared. We rushed into the underworld, dashing through crowds of spirits and reaching a grove of trees. I stumbled as we staggered into hiding in the trunk of an immense black tree. Security ghouls scuttled past, yelling for backup from the Erinyes. Wings beat overhead and the familiar burning itch crawled over my skin. It was noticeable, even in the icy cold of the underworld, or perhaps more noticeable due to it. The Erinyes were nearby. Kimopalea's point of view. I stretched out in Metuno's chair. It was very comfy. He had been swimming back and forth and he'd paused when Herophile went over to him. Honestly, why did the whole family need to be here? Triton looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, though Bentesekime just joined him, so they'd probably start talking about their work. They always got along, what with both of them being overprotective and devoted to their work. Rhodos was fixing Metuno's sun catchers. She was always the most mature, and as the eldest sister, she made sure we knew it. Recently, she'd been pretty sad, though. Helios was asleep, and though the marriage hadn't been her choice, she did grow to love him. She took the most after Mevu of all of us. I popped another slice of fish into my mouth as Mevu swam in. Now we can begin. Oh, goody. What is it we're doing? I asked, planning to overthrow Zeus. Rhodos' lips twitched. Metu sighed. Don't even joke about that. He's so very temperamental right now. Herophile perked up. Oh, I know! What are we doing here? Triton asked, a smile gracing his lips. 10 letters, 2 words. First one rhymes with poor, second one rhymes with tonsil. War Council? Bentesekime asked. Yes! I couldn't help the grin. Herophile had always enjoyed her gift of prophecy. Gaining Apollo's favor only made that gift stronger. We are doing a war council, Mabel confirmed, but we also need to discuss something else. First, the war, Metu said. Right, Mabel moved to the desk. She placed the scrolls of pressed kelp and shell markers on the desk. Firstly, Metu started, we have arranged the warriors if the worst should come to pass and war does occur. I have spoken with the other gods on the council and have gained quite a few on our side. Apollo, Artemis, Demeter, and Aphrodite are firmly on our side. Well, that's helpful, Triton mused. We have spoken with the other sea deities, Mebu added. The various rulers are prepared to defend their lands and even lend some aid if we are at risk. They don't wish for Zeus to be trying to push control on them any more than we do. I raised my hand. Yes, Kimopolea. Yeah, do I get to cause some storms? 'Cause I'm getting a cause some storms vibe here. If this should come to war, then yes, you will be more than welcome to cause some storms. Zeus will not control the weather above the seas. I grinned. I loved making storms. Now you 5 will be staying here until this blows over. Blows over? The majority of the details about your responsibilities and placements for this possible war are in these notes. Please read them thoroughly. Yeah, I huffed. Is that all? Can I go back to my show now? There's a new episode of What Could Go Wrong When Mortals Do Anything on HTV. Oh, I love that show, Hegophila chirped. We still have another thing to talk about, Mebu said. What else is there to cover? Pentasakima wondered. Actually, I drawled, suddenly realizing what's up. I think I know. You do? Metu asked dryly. I smirked. Is this about those rumors of your new son? And the rumors that Okeanos is challenging you for custody of him? Rhodos sighed. Okeanos is trying to steal Triton again? Not Triton, I corrected. The other one. I don't know his name, though. Hegophile was all but vibrating. We have a new little brother? Oh yeah, I forgot she really loved all the little siblings. She even liked Chrysaor. And he was a smug bastard. Metu sighed. Yes. Hegophile squealed. Why didn't anyone tell me? Why am I always the last to learn everything? Don't you know most things? Triton pointed out. Not the point. Now I need to know everything about him. What's his favorite color? Favorite food? Favorite HTV show? Ooh, favorite movie genre? Does he like games? What's his favorite animal? What about... Hegophile, Mebu interrupted. I know you're excited, but I need you to take a deep breath. We need to talk about Perseus right now. His name is Percy, actually. Triton corrected. His full name is Perseus, Mevu countered. I am not calling my little brother by the same name as a child of Zeus. That's so great, Hegophila chirped. You like him too? Oh, we should have a family trip to Bahamas. That's in Muir territory. Or we could go to Hawaii. Namaka's waters are the most amazing and the animals there are so sweet. Or maybe... Hegophile, please, Metu said. Sorry, she said unapologetically. Did you say that Okeanos is trying to steal this little brother, Perseus? Rhodos asked. His name is Percy. I think it's hilarious. Metu didn't even tell us he had a kid. I leaned forward. I think he had this coming. Metu no eyes twitched. Kimapolea, Mebu said sternly. Don't. What? I'm right. We're always told when Metu has as a kid, always, but this time, he didn't see the need to, apparently. I guess this kid wasn't so important. My tuna eyes flashed and I tensed at the way the water roiled. Watch yourself, Kimopolea, Metu snapped. He is my son and a prince of Atlantis. I kept quiet about him for his safety and I will not have you questioning me on this. Ooh, Metu was touchy about this kid. I opened my mouth, but Rhodos cut in. We understand, Metua. And Kim, please stop antagonizing Metua. I rolled my eyes as she continued. But we do wonder why we weren't informed of his existence. What does he have to do with this meeting? As you know, I made an oath to have no more half-blood children. I see that went swimmingly, Bentesakime mused. Metu let out a sigh. I couldn't risk anyone talking about him in a place where others would find out about him. You all saw what happened to Zeus's daughter, and that was with just Hades targeting her. Both of them would have targeted Perseus. Rhodos nodded. I see, but even we could not know of him. Our own brother. I didn't want to take any risks with his safety. Rhodos pursed her lips but flicked her fingers in acknowledgement. Can we meet him? Hegophila pleaded. Please! Mevu placed her hand on Metuno's arm. If you stay still, he comes, then yes? He should be arriving in mid-hurricane season. Yes! I think I'll stay, I chirped, ignoring Metuno's suspicious look. I'm curious about this little Perseus. His name is Percy. Sure, whatever. I waved my hand dismissively. What did we need to talk about him anyways? Bentesakime asked with a frown. And Triton, how do you know him? Triton flushed and my gaze zeroed in on that. Oh, he wasn't just being oddly protective. He actually knew the kid. Mevo interrupted before that conversation could start. We will be announcing Perseus' existence to the sea, and we need your support. Well, isn't that just a delight? Thank you so much for listening, and let's see how this sea court will go on and next time. Without further ado, why don't we go into the translations of the different, what is it called? Languages and terminologies. First we have, of course, Halmahegan, with Percy being the phonetic spelling of Percy, Tonton for uncle. Ti is a general term of respect like saying sir or ma'am. Kalalano Henulai is the Tempest lullaby. Metuno, of course, meaning dads. Mevu being mom, Metu being dad, and Metua being father. The suffixes used is Tane, being a respectful elder, like an extra special respectful mister, and Tanno is uncles. Then we have Skotoilan, the underworld language used by Charon, with det meaning kids, de mervi, kid dead ones. Voi pozdni set za tevis, the thing for watching shows. Uvi, sadly. Natoi drachmi, real drachmas, and molaya, young little girl. And the terminologies we have the Erinyes, which is the Greek name for the Furies, the Chimera being the phonetic spelling of Chimera, Chiron being the phonetic spelling of Chiron, Charon being the phonetic spelling of Charon, Osiris being the Egyptian god of the dead, having Yama as the Hindu god of the dead. The Turtle Islands is a way of referring to America's commonly to the Americas commonly used by native cultures. We have Cerberus being the phonetic spelling of Cerberus, and Erebus is both a title of part of the underworld and the primordial god of shadows. Rhodos is the goddess of the island Rhodes and the daughter of Poseidon, who was married to Helios, the titan of the sun. Cimopolea is the goddess of violent storms and also a daughter of Poseidon, who was married to the hundred-handed one Briareos. Bentesekime is an African sea nymph and goddess of the waves, a daughter of Poseidon who was married to Enalos, the king of Ethiopia. Herophile is one of Apollo's oracles and daughter of Poseidon, her name meaning the friend of heroes. And Chrysaor is a son of Medusa and Poseidon and the brother of Pegasus. And Namaka is the Hawaiian goddess of the sea. By this point, I'm pretty sure you know what the veiling tradition in ancient Greece was for women, magic users, and healers, and what the purpose was for them. Well, I will spare you the repeated explanation. Thank you so much for listening in, and don't forget to check out WardofWinter's Discord server as well as their Tumblr account, and go to their original fic on AO3 and check out their other works. I know that My Lost and Found covered one of their one-shots, and I hope you check that out too. With that, take care everyone. Love you all platonically, and we'll see you next time.